everybody, it's Don Henry's How To's. I'm going to show you how to make Australian meat pies. Let's get straight into it. Okay guys, so the first thing you'll need is half of a brown onion. If you're using a small onion, you can just use that. And all we want to do is finely dice this. And just into a small pot on a medium to high heat, we'll add about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And we'll add our onions straight in. And we just want to fry our onions until they're softened and brown. So guys, once the onions have softened, we're going to add in about 500 grams of beef mince. And we just want to cook that up. Okay, so once your meat starts to brown, we'll add in 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper. Alright guys, so at this stage I'm going to add in a heaped tablespoon of tomato paste. Next we'll add in about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And just mix those through. And we're going to turn our heat down to low to medium. Next we'll add in 1 cup of beef stock. Now you can add chicken stock if you prefer. Okay guys, so the next part is optional, but you can't have something Australian without some Vegemite in there. So Vegemite is pretty much almost like Marmite, for those of you that aren't familiar to it. And it's one of our national treasures. So all I'm going to do is add in about a teaspoon. As I said, you don't have to, but it does give it a strong richness and a nice saltiness too. So let's stir that through too. So all we're going to do is simmer this for about, say 10 minutes, just on a low to medium heat. Alright guys, so I'm just at the 10-minute mark now. As you can see, it's starting to thicken up nicely. So what we're going to do is add in about 3 tablespoons of plain flour. And we just want to stir that through. And this is what's really going to thicken this and turn it into a nice gravy. Now in case you're wondering, most people do make Australian meat pies with diced meat. So if you're doing that, you can use truck steak for example, and that'll be very nice. I personally prefer mince. Reason being, when I was growing up as a kid, mince is obviously easy to eat. So it's just stayed with me like that, so I just prefer it. So all we'll do now is turn this all the way down to low, let it simmer for about another 5 minutes. Alright, so we're at the 5-minute mark now, and that's nice and thickened up. So we don't really want to go more than that. So what we'll do is go ahead and turn the heat off at this stage. Now guys, let this completely cool down before you continue. So guys, while we're waiting for that to cool down, we'll bring out our puff pastry and our short crust pastry. So I brought this out from the freezer obviously. So we need to let this come down to room temperature so it falls, so we can use it properly. So obviously to separate it, get a sharp knife and you just want to go along the sides like that until the sheets come off. Just be very careful. So in my case, I'm just going to bake these in a muffin tray like this so we have little mini pies. Now if you prefer, you can just use a large flan like that. So it's just up to you. So in my case, I'll probably need, I would say around 2 of each. So we've got 2 short crusts here. And I've got 2 puffs here. I've already used one on a different recipe. So we'll let these fall and then we'll continue. Alright guys, so I've left the pastry for about 15 minutes. So as you can see, they have thawed and they are usable. Gravy mixture has cooled down too, so let's continue. So as I said, I'm using a muffin tray. So what I've done is just lightly oiled it. And to make our actual shapes, I've just got some cookie cutters here. Or pastry cutters I should say actually. I've got 2 different sizes here. So this one here is the larger one, which we're going to use for the actual case. Now as you can see, it's bigger than the actual hole in the muffin tray. So this means we can line the sides and everything too, so that's perfect for that. Now the second one here is for our puff pastry tops, and this is smaller as you can see. So you want to try and do something like that. If not, you can form it with your hands. So the first thing we'll do is work on our short crust pastry. Now if you want to bake this straight away as well, preheat your oven to about 220 degrees Celsius. So what we'll do is just bring out the round shape on our short crust pastry first. So that's one. So guys, all we're going to do is get each piece of our short crust, place it into our muffin tray like that, And we just want to push it on the base and the sides. And we want to try and form a nice shape, as you can see. And just make sure that comes all the way to the top. Alright guys, so that's how it looks so far. So all we're going to do is, using a spoon, fill each of these up. Now when I say fill up, I don't mean all the way up. You want to fill up about, say, 80%. Because that needs room to expand too. And we don't want to cause a mess. Alright guys, and there we have it. So what we're going to do now is get our puff pastry tops. So in my case here I've got one, but we can't just put it straight on. So what I've got here is 1 egg with just about 2 tablespoons of water, and I've just mixed it together. All we're going to do is brush the sides of each of these before we add in our tops. This will help it stick properly. Okay, now don't go throwing this up because we're going to need it for the top. So we'll start from here, we'll add on this top, and you just want to push down where the case is. Just like so. And all we're going to do is just continue doing that. Because if they do stick, it's not a big deal, don't worry. Alright guys, that's how it looks so far. So next we'll get our egg mixture. And you just want to brush on top of each. Now you don't have to do this, but it does give it a nicer finish. So guys, as I said, make sure your oven is preheated. But you can actually freeze these like they are at this point if you want to bake them another time. Or you can just put it into the fridge if you want to bake it later. That's completely up to you. Alright, so now all we're going to do is just lightly score them just like that. That'll just help get some of that steam out as it's cooking. Beautiful. So guys, at this point you can add some poppy seeds or some sesame seeds on top if you want. I'm not going to do that, I'm going to keep it nice, simple and basic. So straight into the oven at 220 Celsius. We're looking for around 25 to 30 minutes. Obviously the meat is cooked, we just want a nice golden brown finish. Alright guys, and there we have it. I've just pulled it out the oven at the 25-minute mark. So we'll get a nice golden brown finish, which is exactly what we want. As you can see, a couple of them have sort of stuck together, but not much, so that's fine. So we're going to let these cool down for about 5 minutes before we actually serve them. Alright, and there we have it guys. Now there's only one Australian way to eat meat pies. That's with a good, decent, generous helping of ketchup or tomato sauce, just like that. Now of course some people don't like it like that, they like it on the side, so I'll leave these as is. And that's all there is to it. So guys, after baking this, you can let it cool down, put it into the fridge, and then heat it up later. You can microwave it or chuck it back into the oven. I hope you like that guys. Please like, share and subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook, Snapchat and Instagram. If you've got any comments or suggestions, just leave them at the bottom and I'll see you all next time.